Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider.
Hello, and welcome back to Successful Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baranowski-Schneider. Today, I'm joined by Chris Lake, president of JNC Lake LLC. So welcome, Chris. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I've been in business a long time, 45 years. I have a background of working in IT, also insurance, merchant services. I've had my own companies. I've done a security product for PCI compliance, which is credit card compliance. Okay. So lots of different things in my life.
You're jack of all trades, keeping you busy. But it's all good because nowadays, like especially with technology and legalese and all that good stuff, I mean, you kind of have to have all that. And it's, either that or you have to hire a lawyer for this or an accounting for this. So it's good that you have that background. Nice.
Yeah, I love it. I love having that. And I can bring that expertise to small to medium-sized businesses and help them.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now your combination of legal and CPA expertise, it's quite unique in the industry. So share how this blend benefits businesses beyond traditional accounting services.
So CPAs do a great job. I don't mean to take anything away from them, but they're tasked mainly with compliance, getting those tax returns filed, getting those extensions filed, getting those 1099s done. And quite honestly, the industry is shrinking because the requirements to become a CPA are growing larger and many are not getting into it, whereas the baby boomers are retiring. So there's more and more, I've talked to several CPA firms, and there's more and more demand and less talent out there for them, which means that they're pushed to just do the minimum, over and over. So they don't have that expertise, and they're also really busy. With a tax code of 75,000 plus pages, it's impossible to keep up with everything. Yeah, the IRS tax code is over 75,000 pages. So there's areas of specialties that they're not always conversant with. They have CE credits and things like that they can do, but they don't always stay on top of it. Like, for example, the employee retention credit, they didn't know about it. There wasn't continuing education on it for many, many months. In addition to that, above the traditional tax savings, there's another layer that you can bring to small to medium-sized business that involves not only tax advice, but legal advice. CPAs can't give legal advice. So we like to bring a marriage of those two things to bring the best possible benefits to small to medium-sized businesses.
That's actually really important because I know even myself, I've had issues where, like you say, the accountant does what he's supposed to do. He does the taxes for you and then that's it. And then, something as simple as being audited or something or what they're filing. Now, all of a sudden it's like, gee, I did my job. Yeah, but now what am I supposed to do? I don't even know what it is you did. I handed you my stuff. You gave me it back and now I'm in trouble and I don't even know why. So having someone who can guide you through, and even with the, nothing against the IRS, but sometimes they make mistakes too. So having someone who could say, all right, before you get in a panic, this is what they're talking about. Like maybe it's not as big a deal as you said, like we just had, we had another company that was I believe it was an LLC and it became an S Corp and all of a sudden the IRS is coming back now 2 years later saying, oh, you owe this money. And the accountant again was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You probably got a notice before. It's like, we didn't get anything. It turns out that it was somewhere in confusion of when it was an LLC. Basically nothing had to be paid, but the accountant was just like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe write him a check. It's a lot of money they're asking for. Like that's not helping, So yeah, that's a good thing you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so our guy who does these advanced tax strategies is a CPA, an attorney. He's got a master's in laws and taxation, and he's a member of the U.S. Tax Court. So he can argue any case in front of them.
That's awesome. That's a good bonus to have on your side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, a lot of business owners aren't aware of the statutory tax breaks available to them. So can you explain one or two of these strategies that are often overlooked?
Yeah, so basically there's many, right? I have like a supplemental health plan, which I will talk to you about. The main one is advanced tax strategies with our tax expert. And what he does is he comes in and he will talk to people. He will do an analysis. And if they're paying 25,000 or more in taxes every year, he can usually save them between 20 or 40% on taxes. He does this by structuring them corporately. So he says, look, you're structured as an S Corp. That's absolutely how you should be structured. That is completely correct. But what you want to do is create a C Corp to sit beside it. In that C Corp, you are going to house your employees and benefits. And the reason that you do that is anybody that is a 2% or more shareholder in an S Corp cannot take advantage of many of the statutory tax breaks that are available to C Corporation employees. For example, Section 125 benefits, for example, fringe benefits, for example, payroll benefits. So these are things that he knows about. And basically the big corporations have lobbied for these things, because they're obviously C corporations.
Right.
Over 30 years with Congress. So they've gotten all these tax breaks available that you can't take advantage of unless you have a C corporation. So the S corporation is obviously the place to be, because you're getting that pass-through income. You're not getting taxed twice on your salary. And the first 20% of your profit is tax-free with the Trump Tax Act. But you want to also be able to take advantage of these statutory tax breaks that are available in a C corporation. So if I had to put it in a nutshell, that's one of the main things I would tell people in the beginning. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's kind of the approach that he takes.
That's awesome, though. And again, I don't know any other accountant that's advising people to that extent. I mean, that's someone who knows
And
both
they
ends
really
of this.
can't
Also.
because they're not attorneys. They really can't say you should set up a C corp. They really can't do that, and then hand holding them through that process takes a lot of time and effort. So it doesn't get done. It gets missed. But I mean, the savings are phenomenal. Just to give you some examples, I worked with an electrician, about 14 stats at about 2 million a year. Through the complementary tax savings analysis that our expert does, he said, I can save you about 30,000 a year. They went forward. It turned out to be 40,000 a year with all the things that he came up with. And he likes to do that. He comes in conservatively and over delivers. So it is a substantial saving over 5 years. That's 150,000, at the low end. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody should listen to this. That's really good stuff. Now, tell me, you mentioned that most CPAs focus on compliance rather than saving. So how does your approach differ? What impact does this have on the businesses that you work with?
Well, so basically, I mean, I think we covered it somewhat, but we don't focus on compliance. We don't do tax returns. We work with the CPAs. We don't manage money. We don't take commissions. We strictly set up the company to win on taxes, to basically take advantage of those tax breaks.
Yeah, that's amazing. I said the health and insurance, they're critical components of financial planning. So how do you integrate these into your overall strategy for reducing clients' out-of-pocket expenses? That's what you mentioned about putting them into C.
Yes, that's another area of savings that I provide. So health insurance can really be a daunting subject for business owners. It's so expensive. I just looked at the Business Journal yesterday, and they're saying labor, including employee wages, benefits, payroll, and other related taxes, can account for as much as 70% of total business costs. I mean, it's significant. Now, with regular healthcare, for most people, it's a cost. It can run $600 to $1,500 a month, depending on if you're getting your family covered, whatnot. Little known fact, did you know that 50 to 75% of health claims come from 1% of people covered?
No.
They're called the super users. So under the current system, we're all paying for that, right? And so essentially, the healthy person is paying for healthcare in the US for the sick. What we have is a unique supplemental health plan called the Champion Health Plan. And that plan, basically, what the vision of the founder was to make healthcare affordable for the majority of people, and also to promote health. So to take people in the direction of health. So what he did was he formulated a back-end platform, AI predictive ed platform that has hundreds of modules in it and 10 areas of health. And every month the person logs in and does something based on their personal health risk assessment. For example, myself, I don't have major health risk issues, but I did take up pickleball last year and I broke my wrist. And I put that in my health risk assessment. And what I got was how to, a little informational pamphlet that I read on how to avoid injuries when you take up a new sport. And then next month, I got something on balance issues. So it was actually extremely helpful for me to know how to, engage and become more healthy. So the way it is structured, it actually ends up saving the company $573 per employee per year.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's all pre-tax deductions, same with any medical expense. It gets the employee a net pay increase of $1,500 a year. So it's a total win-win. They can get basic health care. It doesn't cover hospitalization, surgeries, the big stuff, right? But it'll cover basic health care. And then it gives the company a savings, it gives the employee savings, and it gives all these additional benefits. So it's a very cool plan.
Oh, definitely interesting. Never heard of that before. But yeah, doing
No,
the preventive is actually really important.
yeah, yeah. If you think of it, it's like, okay, we're going to chase health instead of chase disease, and move people in the direction of healthier lives.
Well, that's good that I guess the founder had that mission, because it just seems nowadays everything is more about, we don't want you to get better because we're making more money on the prescriptions and doctor bills. So having someone to say, no, let's not even get to that point. Let's get you before you get to that point is actually really important. Now tell us, research and development, R&D credits can be a significant avenue for savings. So what's a common misconception businesses have about qualifying for these credits?
The most common misconception that I have run into over the 5 years that I've been doing it is we don't qualify for research and development. People do not realize that they do qualify. And so I have to actually really get in there. The first thing I'll do is just define with them what research and development is and how it might apply to their business. For example, there's a 4-part test, and you can Google this anywhere, of what is an R&D activity in any business. The first is it within the permitted purpose? Is it a new or improved business component's function, performance, reliability, quality, or composition? So extremely broad. The second is it has to be based in technology. So if you're, just doing training or whatever, that's not going to qualify. But if you're discovering a new way of training, if you're writing software for your company, if you're an audiologist, for example, and you have to try out new, hearing aids every 6 months, those things can potentially qualify as R&D. The third and fourth is there has to be piloting and there has to be a process of experimentation. So what the most common thing is, people think, well, I don't discover anything. Well, it doesn't mean you have to discover anything. It can be just new to you. Mm-hmm. So it can be something in your business that meets that 4-part test that is new to you. Mm-hmm. So like, for example, in construction qualifies. They're always trying out new materials, new glues, new paints. And if they don't work, they have to eat that. They have to go back and fix it with the customer. That's, something that would qualify as R&D in their company. So very, very common misconception. Oh, I don't qualify for that. Well, all right, let's take a look at it.
Yeah, to check. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is true. Like, I wouldn't have even thought construction, especially when you said technology, I wouldn't have even thought of that, but that makes total sense now.
It's biotechnology, engineering, software, or physical, technology and design. So
Very interesting. And yeah, it's having someone's, mentioning that these are stuff that we should look at. And even if you don't think so, let's just take 5 seconds to check it out. I mean, most people don't say that, which is good.
and when I did the interview, like there was an example of a guy I worked with in California, and he had a marketing company, and we were kind of going through the questionnaire, and he said, "Oh yeah, I also wrote this real estate piece of software." I'm like, "Whoa, hold your horses."
Yeah, who would even think?
Yeah, we need to explore that because that's definitely something that could qualify.
Wow. See, and I wouldn't have even thought that. That's huge.
Yeah.
Now, your experience in merchant services, what's one key piece of advice that you give to businesses looking to lower their credit card processing costs?
One of the things that surprised me most when I got into that area was how complicated the merchant statements are. If you have, unless you've been in the industry, there is no way that you're going to understand what that is saying. And merchants get very frustrated with that. And they have for many years. And so what's happened is Stripe and Square and some of the others have said, we're just going to charge you 3.5%. We're just going to make it easy. We're going to charge you 3.5%. What they don't tell you is that if you're doing 50,000 a month, which is a significant amount, you're probably overpaying by 0.5% to 1%. So you are really leaving $3,000 to $6,000 every year on the table. Mm-hmm. So I would say get your credit card statement evaluated by an expert, somebody who really knows the business. Mm-hmm. Not somebody who's just pushing one product from mm-hmm. one provider, but somebody who has a variety of providers and can really analyze your statement and know and tell you, yeah, you've got a good deal, or no, I really can save you money. Mm-hmm. Or I can save you convenience. I mean, one of the things I recently ran into was we set up an account for a guy who does significant, it is about $15,000, $20,000, transactions. Mm-hmm. And so he was using Square. Well, the problem is Square is always going to stop that transaction. The client is always going to have to call the bank because it's too big for their normal thinking. Mm-hmm. So we got him set up in another area that ironed out all those problems. He didn't even care if he saved a dime. He just wanted the hassle that he was running into to go away.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, people, again, you just assume whatever the interest rates are, just like, yeah, that just is what it is. It doesn't have to be, but if you don't know, you don't know somebody who does know to guide you right. You just pay it and just say, okay, that's just life.
Just a cost of doing business. They grumble though, because and I don't blame them. It's like I have to have this to do business, so.
No, but it's good because you'll hear other people say stuff, and that's what, unless somebody tells you, you don't know, so having someone again who can tell them is actually huge.
And not only that, but who wants to understand. I mean, there's literally interchange. I don't know if you know what that is, but basically that's cost, right? That's what the credit card companies charge for using their rails, their network to run the credit cards. And it has like 700 different possible categories that any particular credit card could hit. So when you see it on your statement, it's like, was it rewards? Was it basic? Was it hand? Was it swiped? Was it, what I mean? All of those things change what is charged on that particular transaction. No business owner wants to have to understand that. And I agree. They should not have to understand that. They should just be getting a basic, but if they have somebody that they can trust and get an analysis of that, which is fairly easy to do out there. Yeah. Anyway, that's the one thing I would tell people.
It has to be somebody who wants to offer this, because like I said, most people, like most accountants especially, like you say, they're just here to do the taxes and call it a day. They're not looking to make your life easier or how to help you, because they just feel, I got my CPA, I'm here to do your taxes, call it a day.
Yeah, very true.
Now, speaking of, tax savings are crucial for small and medium-sized businesses. So can you share a case study or example where you helped a business achieve substantial tax savings through your strategies?
So I think I talked about the electrician in California. Yeah. They are also on the Champion Health Plan, and through that they saved an additional $8,600 per year.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and they love that plan because they couldn't offer insurance before that.
Yeah.
Companies which have between 10 and 50 employees often cannot afford to offer healthcare insurance or at least match it in any way. So for them, Champ is perfect. They have a way, because people these days, employees are jumping ship fairly easily.
Mhm.
And so it gives them a way to retain good employees, to offer them a health plan, and to keep them on board. So that's an example. Kitchen remodeling company I'm working with, 7 staff, 2 owners, do about 2.6 million, 47,000 in savings yearly.
Wow.
So Champ plan for a manufacturer with 30 staff, savings of 17,000 a year just through using Champ. A roofing restoration company, 120 staff, 85K in advanced tax strategy savings. So
That's amazing.
it is significant. It really is. I really want to get the word out there because I'm passionate about helping small to medium-sized businesses. They are the backbone of the economy. They are the lifeblood of what we do. And they can't afford the high priced, lawyers and whatever, and they're not accessible to them generally. So this is like a great thing to have for them.
Now that's awesome because so many small and mid-sized companies, everything nowadays in the world between rent and everything else, it's just they're going out of business. They just can't do it. So any type of savings to keep them on for a while and learn how to grow it, I mean, that's like a big deal,
I think we're going through right now a difficult period for small to medium-sized business, and I'm hearing that they're struggling. So this is a help to them that can definitely help them, keep afloat, keep going, and grow, as you say.
Yeah, finding any loopholes that'll, keep saving the money. And, like you say, I stayed with one company for many, many, many years because they had great medical. I needed that. And you have incentives like that to keep people. It's a win-win for both sides. It's huge.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I wanted to tell you on the Champion Health Plan, it does not compete with any major medical plan. So it doesn't compete with, interfere with, or in any way disrupt any major medical. So it kind of stands in front of it. And, basic claims for the flu, for strep, whatever, they go to Champ, which reduces the company's healthcare spend, which can also give them an advantage when they go to renegotiate rates on major medical.
Because like you said, instead of that 1% using it, it's less now because they don't need it for all these little things. Nice. Now, optimal corporate structure can unlock new savings opportunities. So how do you go about advising businesses on restructuring for tax efficiency? I know you mentioned about opening the C when they're an S Corp. So anything else that you can mention?
Well, he'll get their tax returns and he will do a deep dive. Like he'll do an initial complementary analysis. Typically setting up the C corporation is something that is always recommended. But beyond that, there are things that are specific to different industries. He'll also look at asset protection, succession planning, key man analysis. Do they have retirement planning in place? So he kind of gives a whole picture. And again, I think that's valuable to small to medium-sized businesses. They get inundated with financial people telling them, buy this product, buy that product, without really having an overview of what the roadmap is for them. What is the roadmap that makes the most sense and how to implement it? And so he really helps with that. Once you sign on, he'll create a full deliverable book that looks like this. 150 pages, right?
Nice, though.
And then
the roadmap.
He will fly out to meet with the client. And he goes through a half a day or a day's meeting, going through all the things that they should be implementing and how to implement them. And then he will handhold them through that process. So they're not on their own. They're not like out there with a big thick book and nowhere to turn. He gives them, he consults them and he really sets up a roadmap for them.
That's awesome because it is true. Like I've done a couple podcasts with people who are new to business and they're really, I mean, especially if you're new and you're starting out, you might not have the money to hire a lawyer, you're going online And there's so much information out there that you really don't know. You're kind of winging it for a while, and it is hard. But if you have somebody who can map it all out for you, one person who can say, okay, here's what I recommend, here's why I recommend it, here, now, okay, that's going to help me. Because to try to figure it out or hire 4, 5, 6 different people, and then you realize as you're going through that didn't work. Okay, what, and you're asking everybody else, but everybody else's situation is different. So, it's rough.
Yeah. So, and he'll ask questions that'll go to their situation. What do you want to achieve? Are you looking to be in business for 30 years? Are you looking to retire in 5 years? Are you looking to turn it over to your kids? Are you looking to sell it? What are your goals? Because we can help drive that in the direction that you want to go.
Nice.
Also, once you're a client of his, you're a client for life for that entity.
Okay.
So as long as you can call him at any time and say, I'd like a review, or I'm thinking of selling, what do you recommend? So he works with his clients ongoing.
Okay, that's actually all. I was actually just going to ask you, like, how do your services adapt to businesses at different stages of growth?
Yes. So as they encounter different situations, make different decisions, things change, they call him up. Mike, what do I do about this? This is what I'm looking at, and he will advise.
That's actually really cool. It's that extra, big brother that you can ask for advice. Am I doing the right thing? Yeah.
Well, yeah. And he's bringing all those different disciplines to bear.
Right.
So you feel like, okay, I don't have to go to 4 experts and then, go figure it out myself.
Right.
He's going to advise. So,
well, especially sometimes the experts, don't always have your best interests at heart, especially if it's, I don't even get into it. They're looking, well, how else can I get you in here to make more money? You guys aren't like that because you're here to save money. Nice.
That's right. That's right. And, we don't manage money and we don't take commissions on financial instruments. So basically, we have no skin in the game.
Right.
We can just advise, like, okay, good. Here are your options on retirement planning.
Right.
Here's why you might want to consider this, this, or this.
Right.
Now you need to get with your financial advisor, but there's no vested interest.
Right. It's actually nice.
Yeah.
I guess for business owners paying $40,000 or more annually in taxes and are interested in your services, what's the first step they take to start realizing potential tax savings with your firm?
Well, the first step is simple. We do a questionnaire, takes about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Kind of lays out, do you have you small kids? Is your wife in the business? Like all the basics. Right. And from that, I send that to our tax expert. They upload the last couple of years of tax returns. And he can, from that, he's been doing it a long time. He's been doing it 25 years. So from that, he can do the complementary analysis. And then I deliver that to the client. So it's really simple. It doesn't take a lot.
Nice. I mean, it's definitely, you have a lot going on, but I think it's every aspect of it is beneficial for the client. It's not, like you said, it's not for you. You have no skin in the game, which you are successful with one client, you're going to keep them forever just because it's beneficial to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that about it too. It's like
Nice. Now, anything else you want to talk about that we didn't cover, or what you're working on, or anything going on?
I'm trying to think. I think those are the main areas. I also offer through a contact of mine, cost segregation. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So if a business owner owns a building,
okay,
and if they've done significant improvements in that building, they might be a great candidate for a cost segregation study. And what that essentially is, took me a while to get my wits. But basically, you have the land, you have the building, and then you have the systems in the building and the improvements in the building. Well, normally that is all depreciated over 35 years, but you can actually segregate out the cost. You take out the land, and then the building has certain elements, like if you've done improvements, those improvements only last 10 or 15 years before they have to be done again. So you can accelerate the depreciation on those elements. And if you need a tax break for a particular year, you can do that cost seg study and get back several $100,000 in taxes, that have paid.
That's actually interesting.
Yeah. That's kind of like you're just changing the depreciation from here to here. But if you are in a situation where you are cash strapped, and you own a building and you've done improvement, it's a great thing to use.
Yeah, I mean, again, most people wouldn't know about that. That's actually pretty huge, especially if it's only going to last you, 7 to 10 years, and you can't do it till after that anyway. So tell us, how could people get a hold of you or learn more about you?
So I would say just call me, Chris Lake, 818-209-0955. My email is clake@jnclake.com. I'm happy to help anyone. So just give me a call. We'll find out what we can do.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Again, that was Chris Lake. So thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing. So thank you so much again.
Well, thank you for having me. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Okay.
Thank you for listening to Successful Minds with your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.